Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you for this very important conference. I would like to especially welcome our keynote speaker and guest of honor, Dr. Pachauri. I would like to welcome all the distinguished participants and hope that we will have 3 very intensive and very fruitful days. For us, ICIMOD, this is a very important event which we are actually organizing together with UNEP. The purpose of our conference is to develop a rationale and to develop arguments which will help all those who are interested to defend and to advocate the interest of mountains in international meetings, and particularly in Rio+20. We would like to bring the results of this conference to the International Mountain Conference in Lucerne. We would like to share these results with a wider community in the interest to strengthen the debate. We hope that the conference in the frame of UNFCCC, which will be organized in Durban in December, will help us to organize a separate mountain day, and we would like to present the results there. We would like to be sure that our findings are not just remaining within a nutshell, but are being disseminated and known to a larger public. And we hope, of course, that these findings will help the parties, the government representatives, and the concerned persons in the Rio conference to have strong arguments.
It's a great pleasure for me here to be here and represent the United Nations Environment Program. As we heard today, the main topics we're going to discuss in the next few days will be green economy and sustainable mountain development. It is very important to use the Earth Summit next year and the entry point, in particular of green economy, to mainstream mountain issues on the political discussions and on the political agenda. It is important to promote the transition to the green economy in mountain regions as a tool for poverty eradication and as a tool for sustainable mountain development in these fragile ecosystems.
It is a great pleasure to briefly present you the purpose, expected outcome and structure and process of our 3-day conference. Broader purpose of this conference is to raise the voice of mountain communities and mountain people in the global agenda, particularly Rio+20. We are also organizing one very important panel, high-level panel discussion with key diverse stakeholders and interactive discussion, clarifying the questions, recommendation, drawing conference messages, framework provided for developing mountain policy agenda for green economy and Rio+20.
I think what we really need to do is for mountain systems to carry out a detailed assessment of the economic value of ecosystem services. Because once you highlight that, and as they say, what gets measured gets managed. If you measure something, then you will also find means by which you manage it. And I think it will flow into the economic system, and you would then be able to ensure that the greenness of the economy, which Dr. Schill talked about, that mountains are green, but unfortunately their greenery is being reduced, not necessarily by production and consumption in mountain areas, but production and consumption that is taking place elsewhere. And therefore there has to be a measurement of these flows of economic and ecosystem services that are really an outflow from mountainous areas to the non-mountainous areas. In the IPCC Fourth Assessment Report, we have clearly brought out that most of the warming that has taken place since the middle of the last century is very likely the result of increase in the concentration of greenhouse gases, which of course have been caused by anthropogenic, that means human-made actions. And this is on the basis of solid scientific evidence and scientific consensus, then surely the world has to do something about it. And therefore, what I'd like to mention is the fact that the impacts of climate change are being felt in areas and regions and communities which are the least responsible for having caused the problem in the first place. And the impacts in mountain areas are going to be largely negative and to some extent, I would say, vicious. So this is where I think we have to come up with a much greater level of research and output by which we can show scientifically what climate change is doing to mountain areas. What is the root of the problem? Why should mountain areas move towards what one might call a green economy? The concept of a green economy is one which essentially rests on efficient use of bioresources, efficient use of all kinds of resources, including energy.
There are still a lot of doubts, and people don't know what exactly would go into it. What are the elements which will actually constitute a green economy? There are many broad things on which, and everybody seems to picture it in his own way, that this is what the green economy should mean. But when we go and when we prepare for Rio+20, I think we need a greater degree of clarity and greater degree of certainty on what is it that we are talking of. I do believe that in the Rio+20, it's a very big event, and no matter how big the differences are, and there are a lot of thoughts, and apprehensions that how to bring about a convergence of views. But it is such a big event that the world, global environment community cannot let it fail. Rio has to come out with a successful declaration. And that declaration will be that level of equilibrium. And I think the way that equilibrium would be arrived at would be to broadly say, what is green economy approach? What is the approach to green economy? And what are the elements in it? And then look at those elements and see this will be done and this will be done and this will be done. This workshop, I think, is a great opportunity for us to fashion an approach which would not only kind of highlight the importance of the mountain ecosystem so that it is properly incorporated in Rio Declaration, but also would provide a way forward and would incorporate those elements which we think are in the best interest of these economies.
And mountain specificities such as inaccessibility, fragility, vulnerability make the mountains less attractive for investment and economic progress in mountain areas. That is another challenge. This workshop is organized to discuss the various elements of mountain systems with special emphasis on the Kush-Himalaya region and opportunities and challenges associated with the evolving paradigm of sustainable mountain development. I'd like to wish the success of this event, starting with this pre-conference session, and we have so many sessions, working sessions, technical sessions, starting today. So we look forward to coming up with a sort of concrete, doable and a practical set of recommendations and suggestions with a needed commensurate plan of action to implement those solutions at the end of the event conference. Thank you.